The living room buzzed with chatter and clinking glasses, a cheerful hum that only made my own heartbeat feel louder, sharper, like a drum that wouldn't stop. Leia had arranged everything with flawless precision. She glided through the crowd, her smile dazzling, auburn hair catching the glow from the fairy lights strung across the ceiling. Friends, neighbors, even Tom, my college buddy who had flown in from Chicago, were all here. It should have felt perfect. But then I noticed him. Richard, her boss, standing near the kitchen counter with a whiskey in hand, the sharp lines of his blazer out of place among the relaxed clothes of our suburban gathering. His gaze lingered on Leia a second too long, and my stomach tightened. Tom handed me a beer, and I tried to play along, but the glass was slick in my palm, my throat dry. The room smelled of lavender candles and catered bruschetta, but for me, the air was thick, suffocating. Leia caught my eye across the room. For the briefest moment her smile faltered. Then she raised her wine glass high. To Ethan, the best husband a woman could ask for. Cheers erupted around us, but her words hit me like stones. I scanned the room again. Richard hadn't moved much, just watching quietly, sipping his drink. Every time Leia laughed or brushed past him, something twisted in my chest. She'd never mentioned inviting him. 3 years she'd worked under him at the firm, often praising his support and long nights spent strategizing. I'd never thought much of it, but now, watching her exchange quick, guarded glances with him, I began to wonder what I'd overlooked. I crossed the room, footsteps heavy against the hardwood. Leia was refilling a tray of appetizers. Her hands were steady, but her lips pressed tight. Great party, I said lightly, though my heart was pounding. Didn't know Richard was coming. Her fingers froze for a fraction of a second before she continued arranging cheese and crackers. Oh, yes, he's been so supportive at work. I thought it was nice to include him. Her tone was bright, but fragile, like glass about to crack. Her eyes met mine steadily, yet there was something there, a flicker I couldn't name. I wanted to trust her. I wanted to believe it was harmless. But the air between us carried tension, like a storm waiting to break. The evening dragged on. I smiled, laughed at Tom's jokes, cut the birthday cake Leia had baked, chocolate with raspberry, my favorite. But my eyes kept drifting to Richard, hovering on the edges of conversations, always watching. Once I caught him staring at his phone, thumb frozen over a message before slipping it back into his pocket, his face unreadable. Leia had kissed me that morning, whispered, "I love you," like she always did. She'd planned this whole party for me. But doubt has a way of sneaking in quietly, poisoning everything. By 10, most guests had left. Empty cups and napkins littered the counters. I was helping Tom with his coat when I saw it. Richard leaning close to Leia in the kitchen, voice low, her head tilting toward him. My chest tightened, breath caught. I stepped closer, the hum of the dishwasher muffling their voices, but I heard fragments. His murmur, "We need to talk." Her sharp whisper back, "Not now." The floor tilted beneath me. "Leia, I called," my tone sharper than I intended. She turned quickly, face composed, though her grip on the counter was tight, knuckles white. Richard straightened, giving me a polite nod. "Great party, Ethan. You're a lucky man." His words sounded like praise, but felt like a challenge. He left soon after. When the last guest was gone, the silence felt crushing. I stood in the glow of fairy lights, every shadow suddenly harsh. Leia slipped her arms around me from behind. "Did you have fun?" she asked softly. I turned to her, searching her face. She was a woman I loved, the one who cried during our vows, who teased me over burnt dinners. But now I saw something else too. Distance. A wall. Why was Richard here? I asked quietly, though my heart was hammering. Her eyes widened for just a second, then she forced a bright smile. "I told you, he's my boss, part of my life." It was polite to invite him. Her words sounded rehearsed, too smooth. "I saw you in the kitchen." I pressed, "What was that about?" Her smile slipped. For a moment, she looked trapped. "It was work," she said quickly. "A case. Nothing that matters to you." But her voice wavered, the faintest crack giving her away. "Don't lie to me, Leia." I said, the words raw, tearing out of me. Her composure broke for an instant before she hardened again. I'm not lying. But her eyes shimmered, betraying fear or guilt or both. What followed was a storm of words, accusation, denials, voices rising and crashing. She swore nothing was happening, that I was paranoid, that stress had twisted my judgment. But then her phone buzzed on the counter. Twice. I picked it up before she could. Richard, we need to figure this out. The ground seemed to shift beneath me. Leah, I said, holding the phone with a trembling hand. What the hell is this? Her face drained of color. It's not what you think, she whispered, but her voice was hollow. I scrolled through the messages, each one cutting deeper. Late-night texts, mentions of meetings, a photo of her in a dress I'd never seen, sent to him with a playful smile. The truth spilled out in fragments, each more devastating than the last. It wasn't physical, she sobbed. Not an affair, but it was emotional. I leaned on him. The hours at work, the pressure. I turned to him, because you felt so far away. Her voice cracked, hands covering her face. I never meant for it to happen. I love you, Ethan. I do. But her words could not undo what I'd seen. The betrayal wrapped itself around me, squeezing until I could barely breathe. Every memory, our first date, our wedding, quiet nights at home, was stained now, fragile glass splintered beyond repair. I sank onto the couch, the weight of it pressing me down. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, barely a whisper. Why? She had no answer, only tears. And in that silence, something inside me broke, a fracture too deep to mend. The fairy lights flickered above us, one bulb popping out with a faint hiss. And I realized this party hadn't been the surprise. The real shock had been waiting for me all along.